What's up, guys? It's your man. What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe, and welcome to a special Sunday edition of TSR Sports Talk. Obviously, what has dominated the news here in the last few days or so is, of course, the situation with Urban Meyer up in Columbus, up at Ohio State University. Did he know? Didn't he know? Should he be fired? So, of course, the world is abuzz with excitement. Obviously the 24-hour news cycle certainly allows us to talk about this ad nauseum. So listen, joining me to talk about this is a man. Listen, certainly doesn't need an introduction. My good friend Dottore. We do our sports talk, shots from the pillbox. We've done that now for a couple of years. It's been a couple of years since we started that thing. We've been sort of on and off with it. I've changed location since then. He's changed location since then. When we first started this thing, I was living in Reno. He was living down in Phoenix. Now I'm in Philly and he's in Seattle. So hopefully here within the next few months, we get everything stabilized. We can start to do this. We can actually start to do this on a regular basis and do this thing a little bit more consistently. Dottore, man, how you doing, brother?
Quick point of order, my man, Donovan. I was in Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, Tucson, my bad. Tucson.
Don't let all my University of Wildcat people get me lying out there.
Oh my God, good Lord.
Because I'm a Wildcat for sure, and I'm a Tucsonan for the past 26 years, and now up in Seattle trying to get my grind on and getting settled. But yeah.
So listen, just real quick, if you want to know where to dox him, if you want to dox Dottore, he was in Tucson. But go ahead, continue, please.
Well, Facebook and Google are all working with the government now, and Edward Snowden already spilled the goods. So you never know when the gender grievance industrial complex is going to come for both of us as it come for others. So
you better believe it.
A lot of meat on the bone here, and I've been thinking about how to approach this because this came on my radar about a day after it broke. Brett McMurphy broke the story on Facebook, and there's been ad nauseum posts on social media, ESPN, and the various mainstream publications, from alternative publications like Deadspin to the New York Times to the Columbus Dispatch, Dan Patrick. All the folks have taken up the mantle in this Rich Eisen. And what I want to do is go back to the source materials. And as I was thinking this morning, I wanted to approach a couple of principles here.
Okay.
The first thing I want to think about is, we can separate two things and come to different conclusions because two things can be true. The one thing, and I think the two questions are here, is the credibility of Courtney Smith as a victim,
ooh,
and whether or not we should, and then we go into what Urban knew, what he didn't know, and what is his responsibilities based on what he should and shouldn't know. And that's gender grievance industrial complex boilerplate right there. And we need to get into that. But I want to be, for all the folks who may be just getting familiar with me, I was red pill before the term was around. This was back in the 2000s. I go back to Warren Farrell. My in terms of intergender dynamics, my Jedi Master was not a great guy like Rollo or even Rouge, but Ross Jeffries back in
yes, Ross is one of the OGs, man.
Okay. So neuro-linguistic programming, although I'm not good at that. The general principles, so Myth and Moral Power by Warren Farrell, writing for the U of A Wildcat, and writing for A Voice for Men, and the various areas of the manosphere when it comes to the red pill thought, from rights to MGTOW to things to approach things from the sports perspective to interdynamics in general. And so my bona fides are, as you know, are above reproach on this. So I have to look at this from the first perspective. Is the first question we have to answer is Courtney Smith, and I'm going to come out in no uncertain terms and say Courtney Smith checks off all the boxes as a credible victim.
Okay, all right. So in other words, so I was going to say, so just so we're clear, you believe what Courtney Smith is saying?
I believe what she's saying, and because and not just because I believe what she's saying. What do we say in the manosphere? What do we say in the red pill community?
Never believe what
from the men's rights community. Right. Is that always be courting, right? Always be recording.
Yes.
Have corroborating evidence.
Yes.
Okay. So as I see it, this is not Alyssa Ennis. Alyssa Ennis is Reuben Foster's ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
She's not someone who got chucked by a high sexual market value male, which drew her hypergamous ire.
That's right.
This is not Tiffany Thompson, the stripper who's trying to get all her friends to suborning perjury, essentially, from all her friends.
And Tiffany Thompson, for those of you who don't know, that's Ezekiel Elliott accuser. She accused Ezekiel Elliott.
Exactly.
Zeke was never charged, but yet he still served a 6-game suspension.
Right. She's not Tiffany Thompson. She's not the young lady who just accused LaShawn McCoy.
Right.
Now, in those cases, the men had paper trails in many cases, or there was corroborating evidence to prove that these were false accusations.
Okay.
So we have to apply the same standards here. Courtney Smith did not try to sandbag this. She's not using this for any sort of personal gain, although I think she's trying to go after the wrong person. That's Urban Meyer.
Yes.
But obviously, when you're a victim, sometimes you want to lash out too much. But let's just go back and look at what the evidence says. She went to the police early.
Mm-hmm.
She kept going back to the police.
Yep.
She got pressured by people who were maybe friends of hers, like Earl Bruce, who's the grandfather. But all the incentive structures were there for her to remain silent.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
In terms of there was no incentive structure for her to do this unless it was true. I mean, she was the wife of a coach who was on an uptick on a career track, who comes from football royalty in Ohio.
Ohio State, man. Yeah.
Right. So he was making $340,000 last year. I don't know how much he was making in previous years, but coaches' wives are demolished. I know a lot of coaches, both high school and college and pro level. Coaches' wives, when you go into that life, you've been screened for loyalty.
That's right.
All right.
That's exactly right.
For being a quality human being, a quality person, not just by the coach themselves, but all the people around them. Okay. So everything tell me to and then you just look to the evidence. You have the text messages.
Yep.
You have the videos. You have the fact that Zach Smith's attorney had their divorce documents concealed or sealed ex parte.
Right. That's right.
You have Zach Smith saying, and here's a text from Murphy's post, and I don't agree with everything that's in the post in terms of his opinion.
Sure, right. Like, he could have left that out, but okay.
But he does have some good reporting here. So here's one of the texts from Zach to Courtney. Just know that now. I will find you when you're out. I will come seek the douche you're with. I will fuck him up to the point that no one will recognize him, and other things.
Right.
Him sort of telling on himself when she says, you grab my neck in Punta Cana, and he's like, I know, I'm sorry. Okay, so this guy, I saw his video of what he said, because you got to hear both sides of the story.
Sure.
I saw his video of his
interview with ESPN. Yep.
Right, and he just looked like a crackhead trying to make a case. He was looking down, looking away.
Sure, right. Zach Smith came off as very non-credible. And listen, to be clear, I am in the same boat as you. I believe Courtney Smith. I believe that what she is saying is true. Did she embellish a few parts of the story? Maybe. But the fact of the matter is, and I actually said this the first time I talked about this. Listen, even though Zach Smith has never been charged with a crime or arrested or anything, let's not sit here and pretend that we don't think that he is a wife beater. He is, of course, listen, even if we had never seen the bruises, of course he's a wife beater. And just like you said, all of the incentive structures were there for her to remain. Yeah, there you go. Right. Like, we knew OJ was a wife beater. We're not going to sit here and pretend that he was some angel. So I'm in your camp. I believe Courtney Smith. And I don't believe Zach Smith. I believe that he abused her, and I believe what she says.
So the next question comes up is, what did Urban Meyer know? When did he know it? Which is the question that's been banning about.
Of course.
But one question that people aren't really going to ask, and as you peel back this onion, and this thing has so many layers.
Of course.
Right? I don't think we're going to get to all of it today. But the general questions that I want to come from, approach from a red pill perspective and from a perspective of someone who understands how the gender grievance industrial complex worked and how they worked in the Joe Paterno case and the Art Brown case.
Oh, very good. Good parallels.
Here are the two questions that you have to ask. What was Urban Meyer supposed to do?
There you go, man.
2. That's 1. And 2, will Shelly Meyer be on leave, and what standard are we holding the women to? Because remember, let's go back. What does the evidence tell us? Any responsibility that we're ascribing to Urban Meyer and some of the other male coaches, administrators, we're ascribing these responsibilities to these men in power based on a leap of faith. Because Courtney Smith says she's assuming they knew.
Right.
But what does the evidence say? The cooperating evidence says, I was talking with women, with wives.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
I was talking with Gene Smith's wife. I was talking with this one assistant coach. His wife's name is Lindsay. I was talking with Shelly Meyer.
Right.
And I will put this out here right here because people will say, well, Shelly Meyer, she had to have spoken with Urban Meyer about this.
And I think I know where you're going.
That's not necessarily true.
I know where you're going. Yep.
It might not necessarily be true because Shelly Meyer might be the epitome of a red pill wife in that
bingo,
she was trying to give her husband
plausible deniability. Listen, man,
firewall.
There you go, man. And here's the thing. And I believe that Urban Meyer and Shelly Smith probably had a conversation. They probably had conversations long before this even happened. Before probably back at Bowling Green, then to Utah, they have a spoken/unspoken agreement that if any shit goes down that aligns with the social justice narrative, domestic violence, rape, sexual assault, and if any wives or girlfriends or whatever reach out to you and tell you about this, do not tell me. And the reason why is so that Urban Meyer can say, Shelly did not tell me. Now here's where I'm going to go with this. Zach Smith told Urban Meyer about that situation. He told the interviewer from ESPN, yes, I had a talk with him. He also said something that was very pertinent. He says, I told him what he needed to know. Zach Smith told Urban Meyer what he needed to go. There's your plausible deniability. Okay, so Urban Meyer knew about the incident, but Zach told Urban that he didn't hit her. He told Urban, listen, I might be charged with domestic violence, or I was charged with domestic violence, but I didn't do it, Urban. So what's Urban supposed to do now? He's got an assistant coach who has just told him that you're charged with domestic violence, okay? And he's telling you that you're innocent. So what's he supposed to do? Run to the cops? What's Urban Meyer going to do? Presume guilt? So a coach is supposed to presume guilt and run to the cops and launch an investigation.
Been contacted, by the way, and this is where
there you go.
This is where not to cut you off, but
go ahead.
This is where Urban is kind of inoculated. Back in 2009, when the incident was first reported, what's the first thing you're supposed to do? You're supposed to go to your superiors.
That's exactly what he did.
He went to his superiors.
There you go.
Okay, his superiors handled it. He's like, I'm going to let the right hand do. It's in comportment with his principles, right?
Right.
Okay, and what he's supposed to do in terms of reporting as an administrator. So he did what he was supposed to do. Okay, the police were contacted. Now, is there any evidence that he obstructed police? No,
of course not.
Is there any evidence that he was interviewed and obstructed justice or told other people to not talk to police or obstruct justice?
Right.
No, there is.
No, there was not. No.
That type of evidence comes out, then we got some serious problems. Not the current bail situation, but Scott Drew 15 years ago.
Oh, yes.
With the Patrick, with that shooting.
The Patrick Dennehy, yes. The Carlton Dotson, yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, if we get some evidence on that, then we're going to have some serious problems. But there's nothing there to suggest that at this point.
Right.
So, at this point, what did Urban Meyer do? Once all the legitimate authorities were contacted and the couple was in counseling, he did his role is then as a friend.
There you go.
Him and Shelly were trying to help the couple. Okay, and is a subtext there suggesting here that he should fire Zach Smith at that point? Well, then who wins? Okay,
right.
Zach Smith is out of a job. Now he's angry. He's going to blame Courtney for
That's
it.
right.
The abuse is going to escalate. The kids are not going to be able to eat because they have no food on the table because she's not working. coaches' wives do not work.
No, they don't. They don't have to.
Okay, or they work where their husbands are.
There you go.
Okay, you have to sublimate if you are a sports wife, particularly in something as itinerant as coaching, or in a sport like, say, tennis or whatever, like Mirka Federer or whatever, you have to sublimate your career.
Right.
Okay, and you have to follow where your husband is. Okay, so she wasn't working. So does anybody win? These are the questions that aren't being asked. What was Urban supposed to do? And I think what it goes back to is moving of the goalposts that you see from the gender grievance industrial complex.
Right.
Whenever what I say is that their agenda is always is anything short of immediate firing or immediate suspension or immediate termination is you're promoting sexual assault or you're promoting domestic violence.
There you go.
Right.
And listen to this.
So what do we see with the Joe Paterno situation? Well, unlike Zach Smith, Jerry Sandusky was no longer. This gets lost. All right. Lost in history, but I'm a historian. Okay. Jerry Sandusky was no longer on Joe Paterno's squad when these molestations occurred.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Joe Paterno had no power over Jerry Sandusky and what he did in his comings and goings anymore. All he had the power to do is when he heard something in 2001, he went to his superiors, as Urban Meyer did.
There you go. Right, okay? and now he went.
Is that the superiors did not go to the police.
Right, Graham Spanier, Tim Curley, and I always forget the last guy's name. But yes, you're exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna let you go.
And it's interesting. This ties right into the interview that Zach Smith did with ESPN. The interviewer asked him, and it was so funny. The interviewer was trying to ask him why Urban did or didn't do these things. And it's clear. Listen, it's clear the ESPN they have an agenda to push. All men are bad. Blah blah blah.
What's the interview?
Well, listen. Listen. That's fine. But listen. You're asking the interview subject. You're asking the interviewee why he thinks somebody else didn't do something. No, man. Like that.
That's hearsay.
That's what I'm saying. That's not going to be admissible in the court of law. But you know what? You know where that is admissible? That's admissible in the court of public opinion. But that's beside the point. Zach Smith didn't take the bait. Here's the thing. He asked him, well, why didn't Urban investigate? I'll tell you why he didn't investigate, and Zach told him too, because that's not Urban Meyer's job. Okay? The cops investigate. The school investigate. Urban Meyer coaches and wins national championships. Not only that, Urban Meyer's not a judge, a jury, or an executioner. He is a coach, right? Again, Zach Smith told Urban Meyer about the alleged incident. He told him, Coach, I didn't do it. Now, if he had said, listen, Courtney called the cops, I did it, I strangled her, I choked her, I beat her, whatever, then Urban Meyer at that point would say, well, listen, dude, you're probably going to be charged, you're out of here. But Zach Smith told him, hey, look, Coach, I didn't do it. So again, these guys are not, I mean, he had him down at the University of Florida, right? So you mean to tell me that you wouldn't take a longtime colleague's word for it? Now, listen, maybe Urban thought he was guilty, maybe he didn't. But Zach Smith told Urban, I'm not guilty. You can't go to the cops based on an allegation that was denied by the person being alleged of crimes. You just can't do that. And I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question right now, Doc Torrey, because here's the crux of the situation. The reason why they're coming after Urban Meyer's head, here's the thing. Zach Smith was already fired, right? Urban Meyer found out some shit about Zach Smith and fired him. That's why they asked him about it on Big Ten Media Day, right? But here's the thing. That's not enough blood for the social justice warriors. That's not enough blood for the industrial the grievance industrial. How you say it all the time, but
the gender grievance.
The gender grievance industrial complex. It's not enough blood for them because who the fuck knew who Zach Smith was before we found out that he got fired? No. They want to go after the big fish. Urban Meyer did everything he was supposed to do. But now that they figured out, that Urban Meyer knew of allegations back in the day, and still, again, Zach Smith hasn't been charged, but Zach Smith lost his job. That's what's supposed to happen, right? No, they never want the little guy to get fired. They want to go after the big guy, and that's why this is 100% bullshit. I was going back and forth with someone on Twitter or with someone on Facebook who said, well, Urban Meyer knew about the situation, so he should be fired. The guy's I want to say something, but I'm also streaming this to YouTube, so I got to be careful. But again, that is the typical, boilerplate social. And by the way, he's a black guy who's married to a fat black woman, so we already know where his head is at, as far as I'm concerned. And listen, if he's out there watching this, he's welcome to call in like I invited him. But his response was, yeah, no. So it almost makes me think that his wife had a hold of his Twitter. His fat wife had a hold of his Twitter account. But this is the way people are thinking. If Urban Meyer knew,
slam him up against the wall and say, don't
you know what I'm saying? Like, don't you? Yeah, right. Don't you call? But that's the problem. If Urban, and you said this, I'll never forget this, a year ago. You said it's a part of the shared responsibility. If one man commits a crime against one woman, every man who knows this man by 30 degrees, his aunt's, cousin's, granddaughter, sister's, nephew's, neighbor's husband, if he knows about it and he is in a position of power or notoriety, then he's got to go down, even though he has no idea what the situation is about. Urban Meyer was simply the head coach who was informed. He followed all the protocols. But because Zach Smith isn't a big enough name, that's why they're going after Urban Meyer. That's exactly why they're doing this.
Yeah, it's what I call the goal is to bring governance. Feminism's goal is to either bring masculine institutions to heal or to utterly destroy them. Yep. Okay.
There you go.
So if they had a small swipe at Nick Saban a couple years ago.
Yep.
But he cut somebody loose very early.
That's right.
He was a player, and that's what he's supposed to do.
It turned out that player was a victim of a false domestic violence accusation. And guess what?
Right.
I don't even know that, and he didn't get drafted. She didn't end up going to jail. So who ends up losing there?
Right. Exactly. So it's one of those things where we're doing is it's a subtle thing that's happening. It's a subtle mission creep. Okay.
Yeah.
That it's one thing to ask someone. If you are the CEO, the boss, or the manager, you're responsible for responding to your employees' behavior.
Right.
Okay. And you may be liable on a company level after the fact financially. Okay. You are not morally responsible after the fact. What we're doing is making coaches morally responsible and responsible after the fact for the behavior itself. And that's where we get into a dangerous line. You spoke of wanting the big fish, right?
Right.
And how Urban Meyer had fired Zach Smith, and nobody knew who Zach Smith was until Urban Meyer fired him.
Right.
So no good deed goes unpunished. Let's take you back to Art Briles and something that gets always lost.
There you go.
All right. In 2012, he found out in early March that a rapist was on his team. Okay. It took him not 6 months, not 8 months, not a year, not 2 years. It took him 3 weeks to kick that rapist off the team, Tevin Elliott.
Yes.
Days before the guy was even arrested. Okay.
Right.
And he was arrested, and he's doing 20 years.
That's right. He was a rapist. He was guilty
for raping 3 to 4 because the man was a serial rapist.
Yeah.
Art Briles did not cover for this guy.
Nope.
He kicked him off the team. Okay, so what do? You move the goalpost.
That's right. And because Tevin Elliott was a nobody, listen, here's the thing. Because Tevin Elliott was a nobody, he didn't lose enough, right? Never mind the fact, listen, he went to prison. He's serving 20 years in prison. But because he never achieved financial notoriety, because he wasn't, like, this is what feminism likes to do. They like to take from people. They like to go after your livelihood. Tevin Elliott was never going to get, dude, he got convicted of rape. He's going to be in prison until he's, 40-something years old. But again, that's not enough blood. They want to go after someone who has a lot to lose. Well, Art Briles got the $42 million buyout from Baylor. And my guess is that they were going to do that anyway. But again, that wasn't enough blood. They don't want just the conviction. They want Tevin Elliott's uncles, his cousins, his brothers, his football coaches, they'll probably go after Josh Gordon at some point down the line. Because wait a minute, didn't Josh Gordon go to Baylor? Come to think of it, Mike Singletary went to Baylor. I'm sure somebody probably told him, why didn't he go to the cops when he was with the San Francisco 49ers? They want to go after all the big fish. That's all this is about, just like you said, to bring masculine institutions down.
Right. And it also, the irony of governance feminism that codifies much of the feminine imperative is that you have a duty to, it tries to codify it speaks of women being independent and being strong and being equal, but at the same time tries to confer upon men a duty to protect that goes back to the days of chivalry and patriarchy.
There you go.
So that's why I say feminism loves patriarchy when it serves their purpose. Okay,
Dude,
and that's what they're saying here with Urban Meyer. What they're saying with our Browse is that he didn't have he didn't go on a crusade cutting off heads.
Right, exactly.
Highlander.
Right.
So the minute he found out something. But the second question I think that we need to also get into is, speaking of, we always like to ascribe unlimited agency to men, but not to women. So we know the fact that Shelley Meyer knew about this.
Right.
We have the text messages.
Right.
So Shelley Meyer is also part of the College of Nursing, and so we've had the continuing mission. And by the way, she's a medical professional.
Okay.
This is a medical and a mental health issue. So if you're talking about somebody with a duty to report,
she would be it.
Who has a greater duty to report? Shelley Meyer,
right,
or Urban Meyer?
It would be.
I would say
right.
Shelley
It
Meyer,
is right. It's Shelley Meyer.
Right.
And
if there are any nurses and doctors or social workers in there, call in because.
Yeah. By the way, I was going to say.
Friends.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've actually been counting up all the totals. We're streaming this live to 3 YouTube channels, streaming this live to my website on 2 Facebook channels. We've got a total of a little over 170 people watching, so people are definitely interested in this. But what Doctoria was going to say, if you're a medical professional, first responder, call in. If you disagree, call in. We want to hear from you. We want to debate with you. Listen, man, my position.
I have friends that are teachers. I have friends that are instructors. I have friends that are instructors that have wives that are teachers, okay? In that if there's something happening at the high school level, the scholastic level particularly, if you're a teacher and you find out or you see some indicator that there's some abuse going on, you have a mandatory duty to report either to your superiors or to the police, or you will go to prison.
That's right. Okay. That's almost like being an accomplice.
And I've spoken with a friend of mine. I'm thinking that what we should do is start having that standard applied to collegians or to collegiate staff to take them out of that. But the feminists do not want that because they don't want a paper trail. They don't want a real investigation. They want these Title IX investigations.
Yes, they want the court of public. Listen, they want the court of public opinion. And Ty, you have a little bit of a legal background. Am I mistaken, or you know more about the legal field than most people who are not lawyers? For those of you who aren't, and I'll give you the perfect parallel. In the court of law, right? In a court of law, the standard of proof, as far as in the criminal court, is guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. In civil court, the standard of proof is the preponderance of the evidence, and what that states, the preponderance of the evidence,
clear and convincing,
or clear and convincing, right? Which are one and the same. So what that means is that if the court finds that it is far more likely than not that the plaintiff is guilty, then they find for that the defendant is guilty, they find for the plaintiff. This is why OJ was cleared in criminal court, but why he was found liable for Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman's death in civil court. They said, okay, well, he was proven innocent with beyond all reasonable doubt, but we all know that it's far more likely than not that OJ committed these murders, and that and of course, they held him financially responsible to the tune of $33 million. Here's why feminists, and you hit this on the fucking head, man. Feminists don't want a real investigation. They want, just like you said, they want Title IX investigations. They want this tried in the court of public opinion, because the standard of proof in the court of public opinion is that it is more likely than not that he is guilty, and the standard isn't even that high. It's if we think he's guilty, he's guilty. There you go. Or lower, my bad.
Because, and just to give you, just for a subtle point of order, because I know there's some lawyers out there, clear and convincing and preponderance of evidence are 2 different things.
Okay, all right.
Preponderance of evidence is 50.49, or is 50.1 over 49.9.
Okay, all right. Okay?
Just the smallest sliver. Clear and convincing is about 70 to 75% sure. I'm pretty sure. Okay, so that's in between. Pretty sure and somewhat sure are 2 different things, obviously.
Right.
And very sure, almost to metaphysical certitude, that's beyond a reasonable doubt. But like you said, they don't want even the standard of civil court, because in civil court, you have the right to question your accuser.
That's right.
They don't want that.
No, they
right?
don't. They don't want. They don't want it. They don't want you to face the accuser. That's why. That's why there are rape shield laws. So you can file a false domestic violence or a false rape claim. He gets his name drawn out in the mud, but you don't. You get protected by the rape shield law. This is bullshit.
Yeah. But we have digressed a bit, so I want to go back to Shelley Meyer.
Okay.
Okay. And by the way, I think she's a red. We agree that she's a red pill wife. But that said, when it comes to responsibility, I want to know if she's going to be put on administrative leave, because we know she knew.
Right.
Okay? The women,
dude.
Yeah.
They're gonna go after Urban, but what if? Listen, if he goes down, she's got to go down, right? Right.
Well, she's got to go down first, as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, right?
If you're going to hold somebody responsible, and this is where the specter of the mission creep of Title IX is coming back to bite. This could come back to bite a woman in the behind. Yep. Okay, because by the way, Title IX. I'm in favor of what the original intent was, is that you're not supposed to be denied an education opportunity. But over the past 5 or 6 years, because of how it's been weaponized with the Dear Colleague letter under President Obama's Justice Department with Ross Ruslan Ali, they've transmogrified Title IX into a rape law.
There you go.
And a domestic violence law. And that is, any woman on a college campus that has been either sexually assaulted or has been the victim of domestic violence or assault is by definition being denied an educational opportunity. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Courtney Smith is not a student.
No, she isn't. Oh my God. Yes, she isn't. There you see that?
Where in the hell does Title IX come into play?
Unbelievable, man.
This is a domestic. She's not a student.
No, she's not.
Therefore, she was not. She's not alleging she was denied an education opportunity. She's denying that she's alleging that a staff member on the athletic department beat her within the context of their marriage.
Oh my God.
That is a police matter, and that is a matter for internal discipline in terms of whether he's employed by the university anymore. It is not a Title IX issue because it does not involve a threat to students. Because who are Zach Smith's students anyway? I mean, it'd be one thing if you were the women's gymnastics coach. You don't want a domestic abuser.
No, you certainly don't want that.
Gymnastics, right?
No way.
He's dealing with men who could all whoop his ass.
Right.
Okay, so he's no threat to them. So where's the Title IX implication? I'm lost. But this is what happens: is we see it in political discourse.
Yep.
With the mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, even Fox News to an extent.
Yep.
And also other folks. The media is actually parroting when it comes to this Trump Russia stuff and this nonsense. They're parroting the military-industrial complex and their talking points, and uncritically. And the public is calling them out on it. And likewise, you've got you got the sports media parroting the gender grievance industrial complex because it's the path of least resistance. Because if you go the other direction, you're not going to have a job.
Right.
So the incentive structures are built in to parrot. So you see Brett McMurphy, for all the good reporting he's done, he's quoting Brenda Tracy and saying she was gang raped in 1998.
Okay.
Of course, nobody's ever asked the guys who were involved.
Of course not.
Because they were never charged.
Right.
Okay.
There you go. Because you know what? You don't know something? Because if they do that, then now you have to listen to the other side of the story. That's the problem. They only want one side of the story. 914-205-535. No. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, there we are. 914-205-5356 is the number to call if you want to get in on the conversation. Over 200 people watching between DonovanSharpe.com, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course my 3 YouTube channels. We are discussing the Urban Meyer situation up in Columbus, Ohio. Urban Meyer has been placed on administrative leave because he allegedly knew about a domestic violence situation that had happened involving his assistant coach, Zach Smith, and his wife, Courtney Smith. I'd actually like to shift gears here and talk about the Courtney Smith interview. And here's the thing. And this is why
I haven't seen it.
Oh, well, it's actually pretty good. And listen, I watched the Courtney Smith interview, and this is actually why. And listen, you can look at her and tell that she's telling the truth. Not to say that women aren't good liars, but just like you said, she didn't have reason to keep it. Here's why I feel she's a credible witness. Because when she came forward with these when she talked about this stuff back in 2009, when he was down with Urban Meyer at Florida, she said that she was pressured by his family. She was pressured by Urban Meyer's attorney. I think she may have even said that Shelly Meyer had maybe, I don't know how accurate.
It was Hiram DeFries. It wasn't
there you go. Okay.
Urban Meyer's attorney. Okay. That was your problem. Now, Hiram DeFries was actually a friend and Urban Meyer. He's a former attorney himself.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. And so they told her. Look, if you go to the media, he'll never coach again. And you want to know something? They're absolutely right. But here's the problem: you chose not to. You chose to drop the charges. You had every reason. Listen. Here's the thing, and this is this is your choice. You got a decision to make at this point, Miss Smith. You can either go to if the truth means that much to you, if it really was that bad, if you really were afraid for your life, then you would not have dropped the charges. Okay, so the consequences are, guess what? Now you don't have that $300,000 a year paycheck coming in. Now you have to fend for yourself. And people may think, well, that's not fair. Well, sweetheart, listen, for every sequence, there is a consequence. So now you have a choice to make. You can either stay there and continue to receive the alleged abuse, or you can keep your mouth shut and keep the checks coming in. I'm going to point to a 30 for 30 that I just listed.
2009. I want to be fair to Shelly Smith because in 2009, there's differential between 2009 and 2015. 2009, that's exactly what happened.
Right.
But it was it seemed like it was a one-time incident. It was an argument over somebody going to
she called the cops though.
The secretary.
Right.
She called the cops.
She called the cops and she was going to press charges and
and Urban Meyer did what he was supposed to do.
There you go.
He told his superiors and whatnot. But that abuse right there looked more of like a scuffle match.
Sure.
Someone being shoved to the side.
Sure.
That's one level.
Right.
Over the next few years, probably
it escalated.
2013, 2014, it escalated, and she filed for divorce 3 full years ago.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
She didn't go to the media until he started goofing around and
cheating on her. Yeah.
Text
right.
Message,
Sure.
Yeah, in terms of I'm going to fuck up the guy that you're with.
Right. Right. And here's the thing, man. We all want to paint Courtney Smith as some poor victim. Guess what, man? He said in those text messages, I'm going to fuck up the guy you're with. So guess what, sweetheart? He wasn't the only one getting side pussy. You were getting side dick too. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, and she says, well, he cheated on me and this, that, and the other. Okay, all right, that's fine. But you cheated on him too. Well, it was because he cheated first. Well, what's it going to be, sweetheart? You can't choose when to hide behind your moral compass. You chose to drop those charges. I don't care what the reason was. You felt that you were in danger enough to call the cops. You called the cops, people pressured you, and you succumbed to that pressure. I don't know if that's a word. So I'm going to point out a 30 for 30 that I listened to. I don't know if you've listened to this. I listened to the ESPN 30 for 30 podcasts, and they're actually quite good, but they dedicated the entire season 3 to this yoga guy by the name of Bikram Chowdhury. This was literally a smear campaign against a guy who had allegedly raped 5 or 6 women. These 5 or 6 women went to the Los Angeles, they went to the LA, the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office. They all told their stories. Bikram Chowdhury was never charged with the crime of rape or sexual assault. And because of that, ESPN has decided to run the smear campaign. Let me tell you a story. The main one who came forward was a girl by the name of Jill Lawler. She went to this teacher training. You guys should definitely check out this podcast. So she went to this teacher training. She was 18 years old. He got permission, $10,000. I think they're in Las Vegas. Here's how this escalated. This is the first one to come forward. This is unfucking believable. So it had been talked about throughout the female teacher trainees that Bikram had a tendency to hit on the girls, right? Like, yeah, Bikram gets touchy and he gets drunk, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Well, Jill was a good-looking 18-year-old fresh-faced girl from Canada, so Bikram summons her to his room. What does she do? She goes to his room. He's like, oh, I need a massage. So, of course, things are escalating. He's like, yeah, I need you to massage further and further up my thighs. Pretty soon, he's telling her, I need you to stroke my dick, right? Whether she did or not doesn't matter. They didn't have sex that night, right? Apparently, Bikram had fallen asleep, but she stayed there the entire night. She didn't leave. She stayed there the entire night. So finally, she goes down to the teacher training. Bikram gets her outside and says, look, listen, what happened last night wasn't my, it's something that'll never happen again. I was drunk. I was horny, blah, 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 blah. Listen, man, like I'll give you the teacher training. I'll endorse your yoga studio when the teacher training is done. Just please don't tell anybody. Don't go to the cops. Jill Lawler had a choice. She could either accept Bikram's apology or she could go to the cops. Guess what she chose to do, Doctori? She decided to accept his apology. Guess what happened? Bikram summons her to the room again, multiple times. It keeps escalating. She keeps going to his room. Finally, the story she told, he kept pressuring her to have sex, She didn't leave because she was scared that she would lose her $10,000 in her teacher training and never be able to teach yoga. Her exact word, and I'm paraphrasing here. She says, well, I might as well do it because if I don't, right? Like who would believe me? So she fucks Bikram and she characterizes that as rape. I guess that was the only time she fucked him. So he did not have sex with Jill Lawler against her will. She might have been pressured to, but guess what? As a woman, you can say no. That is your choice. Years later, right. Jill Lawler
what they like to do is what they like to do is they try to contextually remove women's agency.
Boom! Right, women's agency and culpability and their decision making. Years later, Jill is all hurt and she's all scandalized and all these mental problems that come with being raped, which is basically regret sex. Listen, Jill Lawler cheated on her boyfriend. She fucked Bikram Chowdhury and she felt guilty about it. This is why when she went to the DA's office in Los Angeles, they didn't charge him with it because he didn't force her to have sex. Sweetheart, you sucked his dick of your own free will and volition. You fucked him of your own free will and volition. You could have gone to the police and reported him. You didn't, so you ended up fucking him. That's what happened. He didn't rape you. Years later, Doctori, she goes to India to find Bikram's cousin, right? Bikram finds out somehow that she's in India. He summons her to his yoga studio in India where she fucks him again. And the interviewer says, oh my God, so he assaulted you in India? And Jill Lawler's like, yeah. Dude, Doctori, that's not rape, man. That's regret sex. That is a man who has power over a woman. And years later, because you feel like a slut, because that's what you were, a slut, now you want to come out with all these other women who had regret sex with the alpha Bikram Chowdhury. Oh yeah, now all of a sudden he raped me. Nah, he raped you because now he's worth millions. Now, he's out of the country right now because there's a warrant out for his arrest because he evaded taxes. But if he pulls off this bankruptcy, the arrest warrant is probably going to be removed, which means he can come back to America. And that's the reason why ESPN dedicated an entire season of 30 for 30 podcast on a smear campaign. And you want to know something, dude? People aren't stupid, man. They don't understand that these social justice warriors are the minority. All they've done is make Bikram Chowdhury millions more dollars, all because of regret rape. Get the fuck out of here with that. The point is Courtney Smith had a choice. The very first time Zach Smith put his hands on her, she went to the cops. She did the right thing, but she withdrew those charges. She dropped those charges because I was pressured. Whatever excuse it was, that was your choice. You didn't have to, but you did. I don't feel sorry for you.
Yeah. I would be a little bit further to Courtney Smith on that end. I don't like her going after Urban Meyer like this.
No, that's a money grab.
But you and I can agree that you and I can kind of we can have common ground on that. We can agree to disagree on the former part because a lot of this has to be flushed out. A lot of the onion has to be peeled.
Right. Okay.
But I'm not going to fault her for giving him a second chance because there are people that do something once and they don't do it again. So, right. Despite what the domestic violence industrial complex says, once a batterer, always a batterer, sometimes people get into a fight and it never happens again.
That's right.
Sometimes somebody commits a robbery and it never happens again. Sometimes somebody commits a rape as a youngster and it never happens again. Sometimes somebody drives drunk and it never happens again. So for her giving him a second chance and feeling like she was trapped, all the circumstances felt like she was trapped and trying to do the best thing for her family.
Of course.
And she was pregnant. So, I would, but the Bikram thing, yeah, we've seen that a million times. I wouldn't necessarily call this woman Jill a slut. I would say she was sprung. She was sprung off this one guy, and he had that effect off of her.
Yes, he did.
And
he was a super alpha, man.
Once he cut it, and once he cuts you loose, then you want to say
now you want to go after
that it's an act of predation. So, but we see these things playing out over and over again from a red pill's perspective. Our eyes are wide open.
Yep.
And once again, man, it's great being on with you.
Yeah, absolutely. 914-205-5356. We'll probably be on for another, 10, 15 minutes. before we wrap this thing up. Something else that I wanted to get into, as far as Courtney Smith was concerned. And listen, now I will agree with you. She actually talked, and this again is what made her a very credible, which makes her a very credible victim. She described, she says, look, she's like, I didn't think it would happen again. If you're abused by your husband or a partner for the first time, you honestly believe that they won't do it again. You think that you can change them. And listen, she's living proof that he doesn't do it again. Then she goes into the shaming tactics. Oh, well, he was controlling and he isolated me. He controlled our finances. Sweetheart, he was the one making all the money. Right? Like, dude, like again, Urban Meyer is red pill, Shelly Meyer is red pill, Zach Smith is obviously red pill.
What's mine is what's mine is mine, and what's ours is mine.
Yeah,
right?
there you go. And listen, and Zach Smith wasn't playing that, right? He's like, listen, I'm gonna fuck bitches on the side. You're gonna stay home. You're gonna have my kids. I'm making the money. If you don't like it, you can leave. Like, and again, Courtney wasn't stupid, right? She knew that. Well, I don't know. With all the domestic violence allegations, you would think that she knows she's gonna get the kids, right? And again, I guess, listen, obviously Courtney Smith doesn't understand that the court systems are heavily skewed in favor of women. You could be a drug-addicted prostitute. The courts are still going to give you the kids and not the husband who has a solid, stable home and makes good money. Apparently, she didn't really feel that way. And here's another thing. If she leaves Zach Smith, well, there go the paychecks too, man.
So I also have another question too. Is
Let's do it.
What's going to happen to some of the wives, some of the husbands?
There you go.
Of these other women that she texted with?
Nothing, because they're not Urban Meyer.
There's another coach. There's a coach called Brian. Well, no. We've seen coaches try to get hired and have problems getting hired. For example, Lindsay Boltolini is the wife of Brian Boltolini.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And we also see people who are also part of the Baylor coaching staff, and they're having problems getting hired too, unless they fall on their sword, right?
Wow.
And adopt the mantra public. I've seen a couple coaches go on publicly and
listen
have
and
them
believe.
come to Jesus. Well, please let me have another coaching job, and I will say everything the gender grievance industrial complex wants to say. But I do digress. Lindsay Boltolini is the wife of Brian Boltolini, considered one of Meyer's most loyal staff members. And here's what he goes back 15 seasons: Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, and Ohio State.
Wow.
Courtney.
Wow.
Zach's trying to make me look crazy because that's what Shelly is saying. That's what Shelly's saying he's doing. Lindsay, Urban just said Zach denied everything. Courtney, I hope Urban is smarter than that. Lindsay, he doesn't know what to think. Courtney, I don't really care, you know. That's what Courtney said. Lindsay says, yeah, don't worry about Herb. So they were discussing this matter. So
right.
What's going to happen with what does Lindsay Boltolini do?
Right.
Is she a member? Is she working for Ohio State?
Right. Is she going to be swept up in Title IX?
Is he going to be put under Title IX? Is this going to be but we see with the gender grievance industrial complex that there is a scorched earth policy.
Yep.
They want every member. It's like what was that? What was it from the Untouchables? I want him dead. I want his family dead.
That's right.
I want his kids dead.
That's right.
You know?
All of it, man.
You don't just want the people that's responsible. You want everybody around them, as you say.
That's right.
Dead, terminated, and not able to pursue. By the way, have you heard that Art Briles did get a coaching job?
No, don't say that too loud, man. Are you kidding? I didn't hear about that.
I didn't. I just heard about it. It was something that I saw on NSN.
Okay.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, because I remember he got like a coach. I think he got like an offensive coordinating job for a CFL team, and then 12 hours later they fired him because the Twitter outrage happened.
Right. Exactly. So let's see. Let me bring this up.
You know what? I'll actually look this up.
So he finally gets a new job with the. But guess where it is? It's in Italy.
He's coaching football in Italy?
Yes.
Wow, man. Oh my. Yep. Ex-Baylor coach Art Briles gets hired.
I believe for you, man.
Oh my God, Jesus, dude, this guy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, Hashim 305 just pointed that out, dude. This guy is so ostracized that he's got a coach in. Do they even know what American football is in Italy? Like, I don't even. Oh my God.
I remember seeing something 20 or 30 years ago about them trying to grow it in the league. So it's one of the few European countries where it's sort of a minor foothold. The emphasis being minor because it's nowhere near soccer.
Jesus Christ, man.
But he will coach the Guelfi Firenze American football team, an Italian team located in Florence. And I guess that's some pretty good symbolism because Florence is where all the gondolas are, and his career has effectively been drowned. So
yeah, that's it for our Bryles. Well, listen, he's a multi-millionaire like many times over. So he's you know, I mean, he made big money when he was at Baylor. Yeah, he made him pay. And here's the thing, man. Like Baylor would have loved to have kept him, but they just couldn't. To wrap this thing up, man. At the end of the day, we are trying to fire the media is trying to get Urban Meyer fired based on something he may or may not have known. Listen, Urban Meyer didn't put his hands on anybody. Urban Meyer didn't domestically abuse anybody. He didn't rape anybody. An assistant coach told him about a domestic violence allegation that he denied right then and there. Urban Meyer went right up the chain. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. Here's the thing. The reason they want Urban Meyer fired is because they want the blood. They don't care about the truth. Zach Smith losing his job, that's not enough blood. They want to send a message that because here, you want to know what kind of precedent this sets, Dr. Because here's the thing. A player's, let's say an assistant trainer, let's say she just decides to end somebody's career. Let's say she's at Florida State University. Let's say the assistant, the wife of an assistant trainer texts the wife of, let's go Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher. Let's say Jimbo Fisher's wife gets a text from the assistant graduate athletic trainer's wife that he put hands on her. So now, okay, now she can go to the media and say, yo, I think that Jimbo Fisher knows about a domestic violence accusation. Now they have to fire him based on what somebody said. And again, the Title IX she wouldn't even be Title IX because she's the wife. Title IX investigations say that a person doesn't even have to be arrested or convicted, which and of course, this is an abuse of power, man. Women are abusing this power. So basically, any woman can make up any kind of story and say that she told a coach coach's wife. Dr. A, let's not forget. There is no oh my God, how can we put this? Urban Meyer did exactly what he was supposed to do. She didn't tell Urban Meyer directly. Urban Meyer heard this through the great. Yes, he adhered to the protocol, but because good.
Here's the thing. Before you wrap this up, and I don't want to get too far down the road before I get this out here. But what I forgot to say is that earlier, I should have said earlier, is that what people are, and this is how the gender agreements, industrial complex, how they control the narrative, clouds your mind. Okay. Clouds people's minds is long ago protocols were established for secrecy of these type of allegations.
Right.
So not everybody gets to find out. Okay, names are redacted, things are kept private. You talked about rape shield laws. So Urban Meyer can't just do a FOIA request
right.
and get all this information, right? Because the police, particularly when it comes to matters of sexual violence, domestic violence, whatever, depending on the department, have very strict protocols as to what information they can release and to whom.
Wow.
Okay? Yet we expect a college coach to have Thanos-like power. And what it goes back to is what Rollo said, is that the ones who present themselves most as the white knights, and that's what Urban Meyer has presented himself as, never hit a woman, blah, 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 which I, for the most part, agree with. But still, he's put himself out there as that guy. They're the first ones they come calling for.
Every single time. By the way, Hashim305 says, Jimbo, I didn't even know about this. Jimbo Fisher is divorced. His wife was cheating on him with Taylor Jacobs. What? I didn't know. Do you remember that? Remember the first trio of receivers at the University of Florida was Jacquez Green, Ike Hilliard, and Reedell Anthony. That was when Danny Warfel, the Steve Spurrier Fun and Gun. Then years later, it was Taylor Jacobs, Rashae Caldwell, and Jabbar Gaffney, right? Yep. So apparently, I guess Jimbo Fisher was on that. I guess Taylor Jacobs. I don't know how that would work because I didn't know that that he was ever.
Wasn't he on? He was on Florida State staff.
Yeah, he was on Florida State staff. But listen, I said Jimbo Fisher's wife, Taylor Jacobs. So maybe she cheated on him with Taylor Jacobs years after he went pro. Second man named as, basically this was, God damn, I swear to God, these wives. So listen, man, I mean, they're sluts. They are. She's a God, yeah. So apparently Jacob said
she already consolidated hypergamously.
Yep. There you go.
So
Alpha fucks beta bucks, man. Wanted that NFL dick.
So.
Jesus Christ, man. Doctori, thank you for making the time to talk to us today, man. Your insight and your expertise is always welcome, man. This is a good, definitely a good show topic, man.
I'll lever back and forth and look forward to doing more of it, Donovan. We'll talk to you soon, my brother.
All right, man. Take care. All right, so Doctori, dropping the knowledge as usual. At the end of the day, guys, this comes down to the social justice warriors just not getting enough blood. Nobody knew who the hell Zach Smith was until Urban Meyer fired him. And Zach Smith losing his job, that doesn't move the needle. That doesn't get put on the radar. Nobody cares about Zach Smith. They want the big guy to get fired. They want the big fish to get fired. And because Urban Meyer knew of an accusation that Zach Smith denied, who again, he still hasn't been found guilty. Even assuming that he's guilty, that's not Jimbo Fisher's fault. Jimbo Fisher, Jesus Christ. That's not Urban Meyer's fault. So again, listen, man, the beat goes on. The beat goes on, man. This is how the social justice warrior machine works. And listen, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. This is probably never gonna change in my lifetime. Thank you for watching this edition of TSR Sports Talk. I'm actually gonna be on the air here in another hour and a half. I'm gonna be on the air with Corey Alexander Haywood. Yes, that Corey Alexander Haywood that I challenged to a debate that he did not show up for, but it wasn't because he didn't want to show up. This is actually my fault. I'm going to clear the air with him, and we're going to talk about the Michael B. Jordan situation with black women and why they're hating on him. So again, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, same bat time, or different bat time, same bat channel. I will see you guys in an hour and a half. Thanks for watching.